is up, everybody? Shauna D Man here, and welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you guys are having yourselves a great weekend, depending on when you're watching or listening to this newest episode of Nerd Talk. We are here with a brand new guest today, so I will to get us going. I'll shift it over to our guest so they can tell us a little bit about themselves, and we'll get going from there.
Hi everyone, my name's Peach. I also go by a Dreamypeachcosplay online on all my socials. I've been a cosplayer for about 3 years now, and so I'm kind of still like working on my craft and getting into everything. But I'm really trying to focus on like growing my community and meeting more people and learning more about cosplay because I am so like in love with cosplay. So I want to learn everything I can about cosplay and grow my skills to the best of my ability to also help other community members grow if they're looking to start.
Okay, okay. That is pretty awesome. So 3 years is what has been going on for you. So tell us what got you into cosplaying.
So in 2023, I went to my first Comic Con. I went to Lexington Comic Con, and I did not cosplay that year because it was just kind of I was kind of wanting to get into the scene, kind of see what the Comic Cons were all about because I had been to Ren fairs previously and I'm really into like cartoons and was getting into anime. So I kind of wanted to see what that scene was all about. And when I went for the first time in 2023, I was just so amazed by all these other cosplayers that I saw at the con. I thought so many of them were so beautiful and they had made like so many wonderful creations. And even people who had just like bought their cosplay. Some of them just looked so wonderful. They were so dedicated to the craft. You could tell in their makeup or in their wig styling that they were just really dedicated to it. And it really kind of got me interested in it because I really like to express myself in creative ways.
Hmm.
So I thought that would be a really good like hobby and way to express myself creatively. And I also just like being active on social media. Before I started my cosplay TikTok account and everything, I had like a personal TikTok account that I posted on pretty regularly, but I was like, I didn't have like a niche and I posted a lot about cartoons and stuff anyways on there. So I was like, let's just kind of move into the cosplay space.
Okay,
And so it kind of gave me that like other creative outlet to express myself and allow myself to be a part of like a deeper community.
okay, okay. What's your uh what's your favorite cartoons that you've watched over the years?
So my like all-time favorite cartoon is Steven Universe. Um that was like I started watching that when I was super young. I was into it all the way to the end through Future. And that is like one of my like beloved cartoons that I don't think I could ever like that was a foundational cartoon for me. I also really like Gravity Falls, Star
Oh,
versus the Forces of Evil. Those types of cartoons are also like some of my favorites. Very very foundational. I think a lot of my humor comes from like Steven Universe and like Gravity Falls, Star versus the Forces of Evil. I think that's kind of where I get some of my personality from as well, since they were just integral parts of my childhood.
mhm.
And then like kind of as I've shifted into adulthood, I'm into like adult animation. So I watch a lot of Hell of a Boss, Has Been Hotel.
Okay.
I recently started watching BoJack Horseman. I started watching that a few years ago. I was really late to the game, but I really liked that one. So I just really like animation. And then, as I said, a couple years ago, I got into anime as well.
Okay.
Some of my favorite animes would be like My Dress Up Darling, Horimiya, Apothecary Diaries, and Frieren. Those are, I think, some of my like top favorites. Toilet Bound Hanako-kun, that I'm cosplaying from that anime today. So those are some of my top favorites. But again, just animation in general, like American animation, Japanese animation, basically any animation, I'm very much a fan of. I think it connects me to that, I think, like creative side. As I said, I
Mhm.
have like I really like to be in tune with that creative side. And I think watching cartoons and being involved with like cartoons and animation really connects me to that creative side of my personality.
Okay. Uh I was never actually really I was never really into Steven Universe. I watched a couple of episodes of it when it first like premiered and everything, and I was this not my kind of anime or kind of animation or anything like that. Gravity Falls, I do like Gravity Falls. I think that's a pretty good. That's a good one there. Um, Hell of a Boss, love it. Has Been a Hotel. Uh, I haven't watched the second season. I kind of
Okay.
prefer Hell of a Boss over Has Been Hotel right now.
Okay.
Um, but I do need to watch the second season of Has Been Hotel. But I also enjoyed like Adventure Time,
Oh
Regular
yes.
Show, and so
Yes.
um, and then as far as like other anime, a lot of people who listen or watch it like hearing me talk about it quite a few times when it comes to anime because like I would tell people I grew up watching like Inuyasha and stuff like that, and then
Okay.
recently on the channel I started doing a new series of watching like newer anime because it has been
Mhm.
quite some time since I've actually like watched any kind of like Japanese type of anime, and so we've been going. It started last Friday, but we've been going through and talk about some anime series.
Okay.
Because this past Friday, I did a video talking about Goblin Slayer, um, and then I just finished up watching World's Finest Assassin.
Okay.
I think that was the title of it, which was really good. I was really impressed by it. But starting to get a bit into anime. Freerun is on my list. Um, I know a lot of people love that show, and a lot of
Hmm.
people talk about it. And so I think I've had several cosplayers on, cosplaying Freerun,
Hmm.
or at least they've done some type of cosplay of that particular series. So very popular, very popular.
Yes, it is very popular. And again, I know you said it's probably on your list to watch. Definitely it's worth the watch. I'm a little behind. I'm like halfway through season two, but it is just such a wonderful anime. I feel like the story is so well written and well told, and it's animated beautifully as well,
Mm.
which you don't always see. Like sometimes you get an anime that's got like a really good story, but maybe like the animation is a little lackluster. But I mean,
Oh
that's
yeah.
with anything really. You might have something that's like you might be wanting more from it in one area or another. But like Free Run, I think all parts of it are done beautifully, and it's just such a great story to follow because it's all done so beautifully.
What originally got you? I know you mentioned like Steven Universe and Gravity Falls and such. What kind of got you into the anime sphere itself? Did you have like friends that were like into manga and that kind of stuff, or how did you come across that?
So the very first time I watched an anime was when I was living in the dorms in college. One of my roommates, she was very much into like I don't want to say like the classic animes, but like My Hero
Mm.
and animes along that line, like Attack on Titan, things like that. So she was like, "Girl, like listen, there's a new season. Like, will you just watch it with me?" So the very first anime I ever watched was My Hero Academia. I will be honest, I never got very far into it. It was good, but it just wasn't my cup of tea in terms of what I like to watch in a show. So I would watch it here and there, especially with my roommate. But then she introduced me to Fruits Basket, and that was really my cup of tea.
Oh,
I would say it's one of the best like romance animes there is out there. It is a beautiful story, and I think it's really well told as well. And so when I started watching that, that's when I kind of like branched out into looking into things on my own and getting more into like the specific genres I liked. But
mhm.
also when I got together with my current partner, he also was very much into like anime and reading manga. So he also kind of would be like, "Oh, I saw this and I thought you might enjoy this," or like, "Hey, let's watch this together." So it also has gotten me like a little bit more into it since he was so into it. It helped me kind of get into it a little bit more.
Okay, okay. Does he cosplay?
No, he does not cosplay. He's not, I don't want to say that's not his cup of tea. I'm sure if I asked him really nicely, he might do it with me, but he's not a cosplayer. He
Okay.
does though take all of my photos.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
So it's one of those TikToks that I see where like the caption is like you live with somebody who's a cosplayer, and so it's that kind of situation. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. That's pretty cool. If so, okay. If you asked them to do a cosplay with you, what kind of like what would the cosplay be like? Um, what kind of characters would y'all go as a couple?
Um, I'm not sure. Like, I have things I would want to ask him to cosplay,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like it would be too much for someone who doesn't cosplay. Like,
Okay.
I do Mao Mao, and I would love for him to do Jinshi, but that's like a lot of like Jinshi has a lot of clothing going on. He has a lot of hair going on. That would be a lot of wigs. That would be a lot of costuming. So I'm not sure that would be something up his alley. So if I asked him, I would probably do something a little bit more simple.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Maybe like something from JJK. I
Okay.
think the character's name is Toji. I'm really bad with character names from that because all I know from that is Gojo. That's all I know. Um, but he was into it. He was watching it, and I think Toji has the worm, and he's always joked like, "Oh, I'll be Toji and you would be the worm." If that's what it got for him to cosplay with me, I might even do that. Like this is a little silly. Um, but if I were to ask him to cosplay with me in all seriousness, it would probably be something a little bit more on the relaxed side, something a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more closer to like I would say like a normal outfit, just so like it doesn't push him out of his comfort zone,
Right.
but it gives me that satisfaction of seeing my partner in cosplay.
That's fair. That's fair. Um, so typically, with like one of the questions I ask cosplayers is like how many cons do you typically go to throughout the year? There are some who maybe go to about three, four, five a year, depending. Usually depends on where they live and things like that.
Hmm.
For you, how many cons do you typically go to, and then uh, do you stay local, or are there cons that you've actually traveled to, or there cons that you want to eventually travel to?
So as of now, I try to stay local. We have 5 pets. We have 3 dogs
Oh.
and 2 cats. So traveling anywhere far, it just gets a little expensive and a little
Mm,
like, there's a little bit of planning that has to go on with that because we'd have to find care for the animals.
mm-hmm.
So as of now, we try to stay like within like if we can drive there in a day, we'll do it. So I mostly go to like local cons, but this year I have plans on going to 3 cons, or I already went to one this year. I
Okay.
have plans on going to 2 more. So I would say I typically go to like 2 or 3 a year, depending on like how much money I have,
Right.
like the budget really. But eventually I do want to branch out and go to cons that are a little bit further away. Like MomoCon is on my list, C2E2 is on my list, Indiana Comic Con is on my list, but they're all just like a little too far outside. Like we
Right.
couldn't make that trip in one day, so it would have to be like an overnight thing. And that would just have to be something we save up for and plan for. But it is on my list to go to further cons at some point. But yeah, we mostly stay within like a 3.5 hour radius of where we
Okay.
live.
Okay.
Um, Thankfully, we have one that's pretty close to where we live, which is Lexington Comic Con. But that's really the closest one. And there's a couple more within, that 3.5 hour radius that we'll go to.
Okay. Tell us about Lexington Con. What is that like?
That is so fun. Like as I said, that was the first like Comic Con I'd ever went to. Um, and so I was unsure of what to expect, especially because I was new. I had looked things up, and you see some like con hype from the bigger cons where it's like crazy.
Mm,
Um, we went for the first time. We did a half day pass on a Saturday, so we only went in the evening, just because we didn't want to overwhelm ourselves. But
right.
it kind of helped me get a good idea of like how the con was. Like that Saturday, it was busy, like it was packed. People are kind of like it's close quarters when you're walking around, especially through Artist Alley. But honestly, like for where it's located, I don't want to be like, oh, Lexington isn't that big of a city, but I'm like, where it's located, I think it's a pretty big con because I've also been to Cincinnati Comic Con.
Hmm.
And that year it was the year we went, it was in the Sharonville Convention Center, which they normally hold it at the Duke Convention Center. And so I think the sizes were a little bit different. But I was a little bit underwhelmed by the Cincinnati Comic Con after going to Lexington Comic Con.
Okay.
So that shocked me a little bit. Um, but Lexington Comic Con, it was like a really great experience. Everyone there was super nice. And I said it was like busy. And it typically is busy. Like Saturday and Sunday, it's pretty busy. Saturday is always the busiest, probably because they do like their cosplay contests in the evening that day. And a lot of their panels go on Saturdays. But this year, for the first time, we went Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And going on Friday was like such a breath of fresh air. There was not very many people there, so it really allowed us to like connect more with the vendors and kind of get to know who was there and like kind of take our time at each of the booths, because I feel like normally when we go on like a Saturday or Sunday, it can be a little bit overwhelming because there's just so many people and it's kind of hard to really like look at the stuff at the booth and get to know the booth owners a little bit better when they have just so many people that they're trying to tend to and obviously make sure
Mm-hmm.
nothing goes wrong on their end, but obviously trying to make sure their customers have the best experience possible. So I really enjoyed getting to go on a bit of like what I would say like a slower day, just because it really allowed me to connect with the people there a lot more. And it just, I wasn't worried about constantly bumping into people. I wasn't worried of like, oh my God, am I going to be stuck in this line forever trying to meet whoever I'm trying to meet? Like, I'm like, am I going to have to like jump out of line, go to something else, and then come back and wait in line again? Like, it put me at ease to be there on a Friday. But I still have so much love for going on like the weekends, because that's when you really can like run into people and kind of there's a lot more going on. So you
Mm.
might run into a lot more people that you recognize their cosplay, or maybe they recognize you, or maybe you met them the day before, and then you can talk about, like, hey, what are you going to today? So I feel like those like weekend days, especially Saturdays, are like the days for connection with people like on the con floor, like con attendees. But I feel like Friday is such a good day for connection with vendors, which I also think is like really fun to do. And it's really good to get to know the vendors,
Mm-hmm.
because then it's like when they come back, you can come and support them again, or you can support them online. I love supporting local like artists and vendors. So if I can get the chance to connect with them and learn more about their process or their art or what got them into it, I do really enjoy doing that.
Okay. So I guess a question I just thought of. So because I've had this is probably another conversation that I've had with different cosplayers. So with this particular con, Lexington Con, is this more of a con that is catered to like cosplayers, the fan base, stuff like that, or does it have more of a corporate feel? Because some of the cosplayers I've talked to with some of these cons have noticed that some cons have started to become more about, I guess for better words, profit over people. I guess is probably the best way
Mhm.
I can probably frame it. So, from your experience of going to this particular one, um, what are your thoughts on that, or like, or just generally that concept overall about some of these cons?
Yeah, so I feel like Lexington Comic Con, I don't want to say like it's a mix of that corporate and
Mm-hmm.
like fan orientation, because since I've started going, I started going in 2023, the prices have gone up. I don't want to say like a crazy amount, but like a noticeable amount every
Right.
year they've gone up, which inflation happens, things happen. The prices sometimes have to go up.
Mm-hmm.
I totally understand that. But sometimes, like this year, I was looking at them, I was like, ooh, that's a little bit more than I'm used to spending
Yeah.
for this con. And that's kind of why we also went with the 3 days. We thought it might just be a better deal for what we're
Yeah.
paying for. um, but they do like listen. They're very interested in getting interaction. Like they have a Facebook group for all the attendees if they want to join. Like I'm part of that Facebook group. There's like admin who typically volunteer or work at the Lexington Comic Con who are in that group as well. So they will like, if someone's like, hey, I had a really bad experience with this, or this, you'll normally see someone from the admin side being like, hey, like, I'm so sorry to hear that. Like, let's discuss this privately so we can maybe assess the situation so we can rectify this for you. which I think is really good that they're trying to cater to their attendees and learn what they want. And then they'll also like if someone constantly is asking like, "Oh, I want this voice actor or this actor or this comic artist," like if they have suggestions on who they want there, you can tell that they're listening to their attendees and will try to get some of the names or faces that these people want there. But also, it was announced at this past con this year that they are for their costume contest, they're thinking of making it like you have to pay to enter because they said they're just having too many people enter.
I
Um,
see. I see.
and I'm like, I can understand that, but there was a lot of people upset with that because they're
Right.
like, if we're in
Right.
the novice category, we're just starting out. Why would we pay to enter? Type
Right. Right.
thing. And so I'm like, I can understand it from both sides. And I even discussed with some of the admins, like, oh, is there the possibility of like doing a cap, like per IP address or like per checkout, like, oh, you can only buy one? Because I think what they said was happening is people would just buy a bunch of entries and then they would either not enter or they were buying a bunch of entries and just like giving them to other people.
Oh,
It
I see.
yeah, so kinda like, someone's buying them all up, and
Yeah.
then or they're like or they're afraid that would happen, like, "Oh, if we can't, like, lock it down to the IP, like, 1 per person, then someone
Yeah.
might just go buy all of them, and then people can't because we have a cap on just the tickets." So, I'm interested to see what they're going to do with that since there was a lot of pushback on the kinda, like, pay to enter type of costume contest, but I'm sure they'll announce it soon, but I'm interested to see what they'll do because they were
Hmm.
very concerned and there was a lot of people giving them suggestions and talking to them about it at the event. So I'm just interested to see how they'll handle that. They also announced that they're doing Lexington Comic Con twice a year now. So they had
Oh.
their first one in March of this year, and they're also having another one in September, I believe. And this is the first time they're having it 2 times a year. And so that's another area where I feel like they may be leaning into like corporate caring more about
Right.
money than maybe their people. Cause I'm like, I'm excited because it's the closest con to me. It'll give me another opportunity to
Yeah.
go to the con again.
Yeah.
But it also does, it's kind of like, ooh, like, why?
Yeah.
Kind of
Right.
makes
Right.
you
Right.
think, like,
Right.
why are you doing this? Like, is this for the people? Is this for your attendees? Is this because this is something we have asked for? I've never asked for it, but maybe the community has. So I'm like, it just kind of makes you think. But
Yeah.
just from my general experience, they're pretty good at attending to their attendees' needs. But there are some cons I've seen online, or like I have some cosplay mutuals that they've gone to cons where they say it is like very corporate feeling. They feel like it's very much like for the money
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's like so expensive where it's hard for people to want to go because of the price. Or like when they get there, it feels like they're not being cared about and that
Yeah.
there might not be proper accommodations or that it might just be like they let in too many people so now it's too crowded and it's like not even fun to be there or they're not vetting their vendors properly, they're just letting whoever in and they might be selling something that's like resold
Yeah.
or
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
not original work or
Yeah.
so like I have heard lots of complaints about that from some of my like cosplay mutuals and from just seeing other tiktokers who go to more cons than me and bigger cons than me. And I do think some of these bigger cons are going a little bit more corporate, which is a little sad to see because you want it to be about you
Yeah.
and the
Right. Right.
fans.
Right.
But, I guess I want to say that's the price of cosplay and animation and comics becoming more popular because I
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like it's getting a lot more mainstream now
Yeah.
and I feel like that's just kind of the price you pay when something becomes more mainstream is that your spaces that used to feel more catered to you are going to start feeling a little bit less catered to you.
Yeah. 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 I mean, that's. I would definitely probably say you probably saw a massive increase in that during 2020, because I remember growing up, like in like you know oh, you read comic books or something like that. You're a nerd. You're kind of like an outcast per se. Not like you weren't all that important to a lot of people, and so you kind of had that little thing with you and your friends. But yeah, definitely I would say probably because I definitely think 2020 is probably one reason everybody is locked in their house and stuff like that. A lot more people have got into cosplay animation. It has become very mainstream.
Mhm.
I remember there was a con in Arizona. I think it may have been Arizona that people were talking about. I don't remember the name though, but it was like you could tell they probably let in way too many people, and it was just very crowded and things like that. The cons near me are not that bad. They're relatively fine. Just the other week, was it last week? Maybe it was 2 weeks ago. No, what? Yeah, it was actually last week. Last week we had Iron City Comic Con in Birmingham,
Okay.
and it was very fun. They had a pretty good group of people. Like Drake Bell was there.
Okay, yeah.
Um, what is her name? Um, oh shoot, I'm forgetting her name. She was like in the Big Bang Theory.
Oh, is the one who played Penny?
No, no, it
No.
was she played Raj's girlfriend at one point.
Oh,
Uh,
the redhead?
I think. Let me.
I can't
I wonder.
remember.
These names. I wonder if it's still up. Let me see. It should still be up. Let's see. No. Oh wait, yeah. Oh yeah. I see her. Let's see. Where is she? Because I think she was actually like a late addition. I don't think she was
Oh, okay.
originally. Um, unless they took it down. They probably reset it for like. Yeah, but Saturday. Um. Oh, Kate. Minaguchi.
Okay.
Do I said if I said her name right? She was there. Danny Trejo was there.
Okay, yeah.
Um, Mei Hong, who played
Sorry. Hang on.
No, you're good. I'll try to remember the name. Um, oh shoot, she was in K-pop
She
Demon
was in
Hunter.
K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah,
know exactly who you're talking about.
yeah. She was there, and quite a few bit of people. That was pretty fun. This is probably like my second or third year going to Iron City Comic Con. I really
Okay.
enjoy it. Um, then we have the Huntsville Pop and Culture Expo in Huntsville, Alabama. That's about two
Okay.
hours away from me. That one, I believe that was the one that had some of the has been hotel people there.
Hmm.
Let me see, make sure. Yeah, here I could probably just share this. Let me go here. They actually had a good bit of people there. Let's see. Where's it go here? There we go. We can do it this way. Yeah. So this was like a lot of people who went to a lot of the guests that came to that particular con back in April. Tom
Okay.
Welling, Christopher Lloyd. You see. Then you pretty much had a good portion of the Has Been Hotel.
Yeah. They had a
Uh,
lot of them.
yeah. So I didn't get a chance to go to this one particular.
Hmm.
Um, because my job was being lame and made us do like a Saturday thing, and so I was like, "Oh,
Hmm.
you guys ruin everything." But yeah, it was a pretty star-studded group of people, so
Yeah.
I was a little annoyed that I didn't get a chance to go and see
Hmm.
them. So, but yeah, so I've been to those two, and then going to Dragon Con in
Okay.
August or like late August, early September.
Mhm.
Um, does Lexington Con? Do y'all have like after parties, that kind of stuff? I know a few cons do, but is that like do y'all have that as well?
I'm trying to think, but I don't think they have any sort of like after party. Not that I can think of. Because I know they have like their VIP passes, but normally, like, I know if they've got VIP after parties, it'll say somewhere. And I just feel like I cannot remember it ever saying it anywhere. But that's not to say that they don't. But if they do, I've never gone.
Um, so tell us about so your first con experience. Tell us a little bit about that, and what was the cosplay that you wore to your very first con?
So, to my very first con, I actually did not cosplay.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't sure if that was something I would be interested in at the time.
Hmm.
So I just wore, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Webtoon, but I wore my Laura Olympus shirt. That's a
Okay.
Webtoon comic, which it's out. They've got physical book versions at Barnes and Noble, so you may
Oh,
be
okay.
familiar with it. If
I think I've
not,
heard
it's
of it. Yeah.
also fine. But so I wore my Laura Olympus shirt, and just did some fun makeup and went to that con. And that's kind of where I was like, the very first con, since I was so unprepared, that's where I saw all these people, all these cosplayers. I was like, wow, I was unsure, if like that was something I'd ever want to do, but it really like solidified it for me that I was like, this is something I want to do. And so I had planned, like, after leaving that con, we're like, we're going again next year. So that very next year is the first year I cosplayed. So in 2024 is the first year I cosplayed. And I did Uravity from My Hero Academia. It was kind of like a thrown together. I don't say thrown together type of thing, but I was so like I didn't know how to do anything. I didn't want to not like didn't want to look anything up, but I had seen very minimal videos on like cosplay at that time. So I bought the Uravity bodysuit off of Amazon. And I was like, oh, like all her stuff that if you can get the bodysuit and like the accessories, it was all like blow up. And I was like, I don't like that. I don't like that. And I had heard online, I'm like, oh, these cosplayers build stuff out of foam. Me not knowing what the type of foam they use. I was like, I'm just gonna go to the dollar store. So I bought like I don't want to say it's like planting foam, but it's that foam that's like really crappy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so I bought two foam balls and then like a foam brick. And so I took the foam balls and then like I used like a hot knife and cut a hole in the center to make her little like arm gauntlets.
Okay.
Um and then like very crudely painted them just with some acrylic paint and water. So like which I still use acrylic paint, but it was very oh, there he goes. Um it was a very crude job because again like I didn't seal it, I didn't prep it, I was just like yeah just right on the foam. It took so long to paint them because obviously I didn't do it right, and I had also just got some like pipe cleaners and to kind of do her like she's got like a little I don't want to say like a hook but she's got something that like comes up off of it. um and I just used pipe cleaners to like kind of like simulate that look. And then I wanted to make like she's got like the headband that turns into a visor. I didn't make the visor, but I literally just bought another like I bought a headband from the dollar store and cut that foam block into like two with a hot knife and then like cut a edged the sides and then again just crudely painted it and hot glued it to the headband. So like it was very much just like thrown together. I was like, yeah, this looks good. This is great. And didn't even do all of the accessories and I didn't even buy a wig. My hair is like a dark brown, so like darker than hers,
Hmm.
but I had a bob at the time that was like almost her exact haircut. So I was like, I will just use my hair. Because I was like, who needs a wig? So it was all very much like this is the first time of me doing this, and you could probably tell, which is fine. But it was so fun to like work on making the stuff for the con because I really had no expectations of anyone like thinking I looked good or anything. I just wanted to try.
Right.
And I honestly got a lot of compliments. A lot of people thought I was diva, but I think it's just because my hair was that dark brown color, her
Hmm.
hair is, and their bodysuits are similar in color, which I was like, I just said thank you. I was like, thanks, because why not? I was like, I also didn't know who Diva was at the time, so I was like, I thought they were just calling me like, oh, Diva.
Oh, okay. I
But
got you.
I was like, oh wait, no, that's not what that was. Um, but it was a really fun experience and it was really like it made me so happy that like that joy I had for like when I was complimenting all of those cosplayers at that very
Hmm.
first con I went to and be like, oh my gosh, you look awesome, you look amazing, that was kind of being given back to me. And it kind of also felt mutual because like a cosplayer would compliment me and I'm like, oh my god, they're like a real cosplayer, and then I would compliment them. So it was just like a really good like back and forth that really like it warms your heart when
Yeah.
you're able to like connect with a community that you like share mutual interests with.
Okay. Okay. What was so what's your like number one cosplay that most people would recognize you? Like if I was to go to a con and you were there, what's like the number one cosplay that most fans recognize you as?
Um, I want to say like on my TikTok for a long time, when I had just gotten into like cosplaying has been Hotel and Hello Boss, I would get a lot of people constantly ask me to do my Verosika Mayday again.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it was like I'd post, I'd make a couple videos, post my Verosika videos for a while, and then it would be something else for a while. And I feel like for a lot of the times people would ask me for my Verosika Mayday, like do Verosika again, do Verosika again. So I feel like if anyone were to recognize me for anything, it would probably be my Verosika Mayday. But she's also the one I don't want to say I put the most time, love, and care into,
Mm-hmm.
but I have put the most time, love, and care into her. When I very first started like her cosplay, it wasn't I don't want to say it wasn't very good, but like I didn't have the right horns. I kind of just was buying stuff and then like kind
Right.
of crudely affixing it to look like her. Um, but for LexCon this year, I competed in the cosplay contest. So I decided I was like, I'm going to do more. So from scratch, I made the patterns and sewed Verosika's dress. It took me about like I want to say 10 hours total, between 10 and 15 hours to hand jewel the X, the O, and the
Oh
star
gosh.
on the dress. I hand glued every single one.
Oh my goodness.
um and then in December, because I did like a Sins Miss Verosika as like a Christmas thing,
Mm-hmm.
I also remade her horns. I built her horns completely from scratch out of EVA foam. And then I had made a tail for her a couple years ago, but I wasn't really liking it. And I really try to stay close to canon as possible. And so my fiance convinced me like last minute. He was like, "Oh, you should completely remake the tail since the tail is a little too thick." And I was like, "Ah, I don't want to, but you're right." So I completely remade the tail for the con as well, all out of EVA foam and magnets. My horns magnet into my wig, my tail magnets into my dress. So I tried to make everything seamless with her. So I would say there's a good possibility that like fans or people in my community would probably recognize me for Verosika since she is the one I put a lot of thought into her.
Right. Okay. Um, who's I mean, if you have a couple you can name, but who is somebody within the cosplay community that you look up to the most, or like you admire the most? If there's multiple people, feel free to name them and everything. But like, for you, who is like somebody you look up to?
I can't like I don't wanna say I can't think of one person specifically because like there's a lot of cosplayers I see kind of just like I see them, I
Yeah.
love their stuff, but then I'm just like I move on. And I'll see them again, I really like their stuff.
Okay.
But I honestly like I've noticed some people that I want to say like look up to the most are some smaller creators who are just really good at what they do. Like I can't think of any specific names off the top of my head, but I found this like smaller creator who really focuses on like showing you how to sew specifically
Oh.
for cosplay. And I find it so helpful. And I save like almost every single one of her videos because she does it in such like a this may not be like the easy or like this is the easiest way to do it and this is how I do it. This might not be how everyone does it, but this is kind of like how I do it and you can do it too and it's simple. And she really has like made stuff simple to kind of learn how to do stuff specifically for cosplay.
Hmm.
And then also there's every now and then like I'll find really good wig stylists who they just post like the whole process of their wig styling and some of them there's no voiceover, there's no nothing, but their wigs are just the process is so in depth where I'm like I'm going to save these, I'm going to come back to this person all the time because they truly like they show you how to do it without like, I don't want to say like gatekeeping, but there's a
Right.
lot of cosplayers who I see who are really good and they may end up doing like process videos, but they don't show you how to do it. You know, they're like, "Oh, here's me making my Pomni cosplay," or "Here's me making my Mau Mau cosplay." Or, you know, things like that, which I'm like, I like seeing those too. I like seeing everyone's process videos and kind of seeing how they kind of like interpreted an animated design into
Hmm.
like a real life concept. But I really appreciate those content creators who are cosplayers who go into like the nitty gritty of like, this is how I do this, and this is an easy way to do this, especially if you're starting out. And they may also have like, oh, this is a little bit more complex, but here's like the step by step, this is how you can do it. And so it kind of like, I feel like helps in the community break down those barriers to entry and really
Okay.
helps people learn. And I feel like that's so inspiring. Like they're doing this even if they're not that big, or even if, you know, like they probably get more views than me, but you know,
Right.
even if they're not that big, they're still committing and doing this and teaching other people how to be better. And I just feel like that's the people in the community I look up to the most, is those who may do it, or they, you know, they don't do it for the recognition for their cosplays. They do it to help other people grow. And I just think that's so helpful in a community that can be like, all forms of cosplay are valid. And so some people might not build anything for their cosplays, but for those who do, I feel like that maybe helps break down that barrier. Like someone who might be like, oh, I only have ever bought pre-made cosplays, seeing videos like that might help them be like, wow, like that seemed really simple. I think now I could make a wig, you know, like I feel like it really helps people maybe get further into the hobby or further into the craft than they ever might have gone had they just watched like, I don't want to say typical cosplayers, but
Right.
cosplayers who are really just cosplaying.
What did you think of? This was like obviously this was like several weeks ago, but when because I did a like a reaction video with another cosplayer about this. What were your thoughts on the Stella Chu interview that what's the that came out? What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, because she had, that was the one where she was kind of like, if you compete in cosplay
Mm-hmm.
contests, like you're not a cosplayer, this is different.
Mm-hmm.
Want to make sure I'm thinking of the right thing. Yeah, when she said that, I was kind of taken aback because again, like I'm of that mindset, like all forms of cosplay are valid.
Right.
And no matter what you do, cosplay is valid. Anyone can cosplay, no matter the race, gender, sexual orientation, whether they're buying it all from a bag or they're making it all themselves, whether they're completely canon or not canon, all forms of cosplay are valid. And so, and that includes like competition cosplay.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of these people may really like cosplay, but they may also really enjoy like the building aspect of cosplay. And I don't think like it's wrong for them to want to compete and show their skills to others. I know some people might be like, oh, they're doing it for the money, and they may be, but that money is probably going right back into that hobby so that they
Yeah.
can produce more and build more wonderful things to show off to the community. And that's kind of how I see it. And some for like me too, when I entered the cosplay contest this year, I had no expectations of winning, no expectations of anything. I just entered because it helped motivate me to really put time and effort into learning the skills I needed to learn to be a better like cosplayer, and maybe not even the sense of like a better cosplayer in terms of cosplaying, just a better cosplayer in terms of like I want to build things myself, I want to do
Mm-hmm.
all these things myself and really showcase that I have the skills to do these things. So by entering, that really pushed me and challenged me to go further than I thought I could go, and do things I thought I couldn't do. Like I learned to sew when I was really young, but I have not done it in like 6 or 7 years. So I was like, okay, let's just go. We're just going to do it. And I watched a lot of videos, spent a lot of time taking my measurements. And even then, I got it wrong. I had to cut and resew. And that's just part of it. But I was like, me knowing, I was like, I have to get this done for this contest because I want to show everyone what I have worked so much on and I am so proud of for doing my hardest on this. Like, it just motivated me to keep working and keep honing my skills. So
Okay.
when Stella Chu was kind of like, "Oh, if you enter cosplay contests, that you're not like a real cosplayer, you're not part of the community, that's like something different." It kind of hurt my heart because I'm
Mm,
like, I feel like you're invalidating a whole section of the community, and a lot of them are people we can learn from. Like when I see some of these people who compete, especially at these bigger cons, their craftsmanship is so unbelievably
yeah.
amazing and gorgeous. And I'm like, wow, if they can do it, maybe I can do it. Like that's so beautiful. And I know, they may be competing for money and they may win money, but again, I think it goes right back into that craft that they love because maybe they do it because they don't have enough money from their job or their side job or whatever else to make these cosplays without competing. And so I think it's just a way to put back into your hobby what you give into it. And I did not like that take.
All right. Right. Okay. Okay. Hmm. That's fair. Yeah, because me and another cosplayer we spent about like over 2 hours like just because I had not watched it. I'd seen people talk about it,
Yes.
but I had not watched it myself, and so I was like, okay. Because originally I was just gonna watch it myself by myself and
Hmm.
just just talk about it. But I was like, yeah, you know what? Let me have somebody on who obviously has probably paid a lot more attention to it than I do.
Hmm.
It was an interesting conversation. Part of me kind of I think part of me was like, I understand what she's trying to say, but also how she said it came off in the worst possible way. Because I think she talked about like, what did she say? This is like a couple months ago, but I know she talked about like how she feels like when cosplayers into these contests, there's not like a lot of like promotion of the cosplayers themselves, maybe something
Hmm.
like that. Because I think that's what she probably meant to say, but it just came out the wrong way, and
Yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah, it was an interesting thing to listen to and watch. So very interesting.
Yeah. I will say I've never seen like the full video myself. I
Yeah,
mostly just saw clips of
yeah,
it online of where she had specifically said that and other cosplayers talking about it. I don't want to say like in the same sense as me,
yeah,
but like I can definitely see where she maybe have meant like, oh, if you do this, like you're hurting your cosplay chances because
yeah,
they don't really promote like the cosplayers who do it. They don't really do anything extra special for you. But I just think the way she said it
yeah.
definitely hurt the community and made them feel some type of way. And it made me feel some type of way. So
Understandable. Very much understandable. Um. So for you, what has been the hardest cosplay for you to put together? Like, oh, at least up to this point.
up to this point, um, I would say my Verosika Mayday cosplay because again, she's like the only one I've like put a ton of time, care, and effort into. Like for some other cosplays, like I make portions of it. Like I've done a Mira from K-pop Demon Hunters where like her shirt, I freehand painted the entire design and words
Oh.
on that. But like I didn't make the shirt. And like with the skirt, I bought a skirt, dyed it, So I'm like, I altered pieces of it, but I've not had a project like a cosplay project I've worked on that I've like made everything from scratch. I guess I'm working on one now. So, but like up until this point, the hardest one I've worked on is Veronica. I think the one I'm working on right now, though, will be my biggest challenge at the time being. Right now, I'm working on Lolan from the Apothecary Diaries. She is one of the concubines.
Okay.
I don't want to delve too much into her history because, like, if you've not seen it, it will be spoilers.
Oh, I
So
see.
yeah, I'm working on her though because she's one of my favorites, and I am doing everything absolutely from scratch. And I'm being very slow with it because I'm a little nervous about it. So I've completely made her like she's got like a belt sash, and I've completely made that all from scratch. So it was a little bit of trial and error too. But I think it looks really good. The next thing I'm gonna work on is her like underskirt, but she just has so many like working parts. I don't know if like this is how another cosplayer would sew it, but I kind of like sketched it out and like broke it down into like she'll have an underskirt, she'll have a main dress, and she'll have kind of like an undershirt that kind of is on the underneath. So like there's a couple components that go into it. And since the fashion is like inspired by like it's Chinese fashion, I want to try and make it
Hmm.
close to correct. So I don't want to just do something that doesn't look at all like the show. So I'm
Yeah.
really trying to do it some justice and make the silhouette as similar as possible while also still like just getting back into sewing. And I make my own patterns, so it's also like trial and error with like, does this look right? Like it looks right here, but is it
Right.
gonna look right when I put it on the fabric and then have to sew it together? So she is my troubling one right now, but I think it's simply because it's a really big undertaking and all aspects of her
Mm,
outfit are extremely complicated just because it's not like something where I could if I couldn't get the pattern worked out myself. I've looked for patterns online and I just can't find something that I feel like looks similar enough to her silhouette in the show. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to have to do it myself. But Veronica before that was kind of like my biggest one. But even then, like her dress is a simple, it's like a sweetheart neckline, just form fitting dress. So it was difficult in a sense because the fabric I used was really hard to work with and it was frustrating. But the silhouette in and of itself wasn't that hard. And even then, like my wrists were cramping from bedazzling the pieces of her outfit. But it was just kind of like it was just time consuming more than
mm,
anything. Whereas like I feel like all the elements were pretty simple. Whereas I feel like with the Lowland cosplay I'm working on, her elements are not that simple, but actually putting them together, I feel like might be less time consuming than the Veroska cosplay. But because the elements are a little less simple, it's taking me a little bit more time and trial and error to get those things right. But I will be very excited when I finally finish her, whenever that may be, because I want to compete in Lexington Comic Con's cosplay contest again. Not this fall when they're doing it in September, but in March. And I want to have her done by then, which that's a long time,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
you never know. Life happens.
Yep. That's true.
So
That is true.
I'm like, I want to have her done by then. So that's my goal. But I'm like, I need to get back on working on her. I like finished the belt and I was like, all right, home stretch, we're done.
There you
No,
go.
we're not. So I'm taking a little break that I probably need to hurry up and stop taking a break from.
um. So okay, let me see. All right. So fun question for you. So
Okay.
let's say you were. Let's say you are trapped on an island. Okay.
Okay.
For the rest of your life. No way of escaping. Which character from either Has Been Hotel or Hell of a Boss would you want to be with you on that island?
I just get to have one.
Just one.
Ooh, you know, I kind of like want to say Millie
Okay.
because she's just like, she's so, can I cuss?
Yeah, that's fine. Yes, that's fine.
She's so badass. And I feel like she's got amazing survival instincts. Like I feel like if she was stranded on an island, she would be getting it done. She'd be finding food, she'd be killing animals, messing up anyone who dares mess with her.
Okay.
And I'm just like I'm very passive, just like in my real life, and I feel like I would need someone who's so like such a strong-willed person to be by my side. And I feel like her and I could get along well. So I feel
Okay.
like me and Millie could tear that up. I'd cook for her. I'd be like, "Girl, you go out there. You go do the hard labor. I'll be here and I'll make camp for us." And this will be our new normal. And I think we could get along really well. I feel like we'd have good stories to share.
Okay. Okay. All right. What if it's somebody from Hell of a Has Been Hotel?
That one, I feel like it's a little harder, only because like I love a lot of the characters in Has Been Hotel, but I'm not sure I'd want to be stuck with any of them.
Okay. Okay.
Um, I could maybe see myself wanting to be like have Lucifer with me stuck on an island, only because he's got all that power.
Yeah.
I'm sure he could make it entertaining. He loves ducks. I'm sure I'd be entertained by that. Um, but I'm not sure I'd be able to handle him all the time. He's kind of aloof, and I feel like he's kind of absent-minded and not always situationally aware.
Okay. That's fair.
So I'm like, I feel like I would get over him really fast, but just like the idea of him having that like power to be able to maybe do something or entertain us while we're stuck would be helpful. But again, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I'd be able to deal with him for very long. But I don't know if I'd be able to deal with any of them for very long. Maybe Nifty. She's a killer at heart.
That was a wild card, though. I feel like
Yeah, like I feel like if I was stuck with Nifty, I'd also be having to keep her in check all
that's
the
true.
time.
That's true. That's true.
So
Um.
I would say maybe between those two, Lucifer
Okay.
and Nifty, but neither of them would be like, yes, them. They're just like, yeah, I'll choose them.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see. What about All right, Steven Universe. Who would you pick?
Um, mm, as like I don't want to say like as controversial as it sounds, but like Jasper, she's like big, buffed soldier, takes charge. She's mean.
Mm.
She's kind of crazy too, but I feel like again, like kind of in like the Millie aspect, like she would get stuff done. She would ensure we are surviving. So I think it would be good to have someone there with those like survival soldier instincts. And even though I might hate being with her because she would probably get on my nerves because of how like mean and rude she could be, I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna survive. That's all. That's all that matters. If I've got to be trapped, I want to survive. So probably go that route just for survivability alone.
So when you're not cosplaying, what does your typical day look like for you? Do you like are you a gamer? Do you like to read? So what is that like? What do you typically do when you're not cosplaying?
So I work full time. I have a full time job in HR. So
Oh, that's
I
fun.
yeah, I know it's like kind of like the opposite personality of my cosplay personality. But I have a full time job in HR, so I do that Monday through Friday. I'm also a part time graduate student. So
Ooh,
I also spend a lot of time studying right now and doing homework. I will be graduating this December, so I'll finally
hey,
have a little bit of my free time
there you
back.
go.
Um, but so outside of cosplay, I work on school. But anytime I have any sort of little free time that I'm not dedicating to cosplay, I do game.
Oh,
Not crazy heavily. I don't know if I'd consider myself a gamer. I play a very specific niche area of games. Like I've been playing that Tomodachi Life Living the
oh,
Dream on the
okay, yeah,
Switch.
okay.
And I also play a lot of like similar games like Fields of Mystria, Stardew Valley, kind of like cozy games.
Like what's that? Pokia?
Oh, like Poketopia, is that what it is?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That one.
Yeah, I don't play that one, but similar in vein to that.
Okay.
But yeah, so I play like some cozy games, or if I'm not cosplaying, I hang out. I just kind of like hang out at the house a lot. I'll be honest.
That's fair. That's fair. I don't
Some
blame you.
sometimes I just hang out. I really like when it's warm out. I like to be in the sun, so you can catch me like sitting outside, just hanging out. I've recently started gardening. I don't have very many plants. I've got a tomato plant and a cilantro
Oh.
plant, and they're coming along really well. So that's something I enjoy doing outside of cosplay. But really, I would say like my main hobby is
Mm.
cosplay or like working on cosplay or thinking about cosplay. Um, but outside of that, I do a little bit of like gaming. I play the ukulele occasionally. Um,
Oh.
yes. I learned how to play when I was in 8th grade, and so now it's just kind of like one of those hobbies that sits in the closet until I remember I can do it. And then every now and then I'll play a couple of songs for a little while. But it's really just spending a lot of time with like with my partner and my pets and sometimes our friends if we've got anything going on or just kind of doing, I don't want to say life stuff, but just life stuff.
I used to play the violin.
Okay.
Nah, it was for trying to impress a girl, but that's not really that important. So,
Mhm.
I haven't. It's been years though. That's interesting. Interesting. Let's see what else. I've seen a lot of people talk about Tamagotchi. That's not my type of game though. That's not my type of
Yeah.
thing.
I mean like I don't know, like I was telling my fiance the other day, I was like, I think I just really like games where I can play God.
Oh, that's
I'm
fair.
like
Okay.
I'm like, you do this, you do this. You do what I tell you to do. Like I just make characters. I'm like, okay, now you go on the island over here, so you have to fall in love.
No.
You're locked over here. Or like I introduced like alcohol and drugs into
Oh,
my me game in the Tomodachi life, and now they're all addicted to strawberry margs and Benjamins. So I'm like, I just like to play God, basically. I'm like, all right, you guys do what I say.
very concerned that the power has gone to your head there a little bit, but
Yeah, maybe a little. Maybe the power has gone to my head a little bit. But I'm like, I don't play Sims anymore. If I still played Sims,
oh
those
gosh.
people, it's like, it's like, all right, Hunger Games, you're all locked in the house. Who's gonna live?
I forgot about The Sims. I've never played The Sims. I've seen other people that I know play it. I just never cared for it.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where it's like if you play Sims, you either really like Sims, is like if you play Sims, you really like Sims, or you don't like Sims. There's like no in between.
Right. Yeah, that is very true. Why did I think there was a Sims movie or something that was coming out?
I think they announced that at like some point that they were gonna
Yeah.
make a Sims movie. Like I feel like that was in Sims news, but I get to see it if it came out. I don't think it has, but
Hmm.
maybe they're still working on it. Just like the elusive Sims 5.
Oh, I feel like that hit a
So
nerve there or something. But you know, Sims
yeah.
5. Hmm.
Well, because like I think like right now they call it like Project, or I'm not super caught up with Sims news because I've not played in a long time. But like last I was caught up, they call it Project Renee, and it's
Okay.
the elusive potential next Sims, which would be I guess Sims 5 or maybe another title.
Hmm.
But I'm like okay, but they've been discussing it for like 2 or 3 years now. I'm like, where is it? You just keep releasing more DLC for The Sims 4, and now The Sims 4, if you got every single piece of DLC, is like over $2,000.
Gosh.
That's crazy.
That's kind of like with the whole Skyrim situation with Elder Scrolls.
Mhm.
Everybody's been waiting on Elder Scrolls 6 for like over like 10, 15 years. They're like, hey, are we getting Elder Scrolls 6? No, but here's a remastered Skyrim for you guys. It's like,
Yeah,
what are we doing here? And so a lot of games have been acting like that lately where they'll announce trailers for games and you don't hear from them whatsoever. I think oh, what was it? Something there was so a game I'm very much excited for is like Jurassic Park Survival.
okay.
But this game was announced about almost 3 years ago. And since then, we haven't really heard much about it. Maybe some small little things here or there, but nothing. And everybody's just kind of like, why are you announcing trailers for games that aren't going to come out for years,
For
maybe
like
up to
who,
five
yeah.
years or something? Like, what are we doing here? By that point, I'm gonna forget about it.
Yes, exactly. It's like, don't tell me about this amazing game I want to play right now that's not coming out for 4 or 5 years. Like, don't do that.
Exactly. It's ridiculous. It's so crazy. So
Yeah.
crazy. Oh my gosh. All right, guys. That is where we will end this week's podcast episode of Nerd Talk. I hope you guys enjoyed it. So, for those watching on the YouTube side of things, here, oh, that's the wrong thing. Let me switch back over to this. This is how you can follow and support. But Peach, if you want to let people know who are listening on on like Spotify, whichever, you want to let them know how they can follow and support you.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, all my socials are under the same username. It's Dreamy Peach Cosplay, no spaces, no uppercase. And you can find me there on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube.
Yeah, and then guys, as well, obviously on my end, you can follow here. You can subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on Kick, Twitch, Rumble, the gaming channel, obviously the Nerd Talk podcast on Spotify, and then what else we got coming out? We got a few little fun videos coming out as well. But Peach, thank you for coming on. It was such a blast. I had a fun time conversating with you.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
And so we'll definitely look forward to having you back on in the future for sure. Uh, Guys, I have everything down in the description, so you can just go down there, click on the links, and you'll be all set to go. But once again, thank you for hanging out. Thank you again for watching or listening, and we will see you in the next one. Y'all have a great one.